Years later, mankind finally achieved FTL, but by that time, mankind was on the verge of extinction, and the few remaining humans were left drifting alone in space. The Earth had become a dead planet more than 100 years ago due to a nuclear war, but the survivors built a large number of spaceships and flew in search of new habitable planets. But after more than 100 years, there was still no success. Henry is an Earthling born in space, and after the death of his parents, he wanders alone in space for decades searching for a habitable planet, knowing that the chances of finding one are slim. But his longing for Earth grows stronger and stronger. Henry learned from his parents how beautiful and rich Earth was, a blue planet with endless seas and rolling hills, bustling cities and beautiful quiet villages. But because of the war, the Earth had become a dead planet. All Henry had heard about the Earth was what he had heard, and all he had seen was a sketch of the Earth that his parents had drawn for him. After some thought, Henry decided to give up the search for a habitable planet and went to see the Earth that had haunted his parents. With that in mind, he immediately adjusted the ship's course, put away the binoculars, turned the ships back to Earth, set all the flight parameters, and when everything was ready, he activated the FTL mode. In the blink of an eye, the ship disappeared into the universe because of its speed. The surrounding planets turned into dots of light and quickly passed by, instead of waiting for death in the darkness of space. It was better to die to fulfill his dream, although he did not know how it would turn out. His longing for the Earth made Henry very determined. After a period of FTL, the ship finally came to a stop. Henry was so excited he quickly turned on the aft probe, and the screen showed that the Earth in the year 2108 was still a yellow dead star with no sign of life. Henry was determined to start the hyperdrive again. Henry held the controls in his hand with great anticipation. Soon the ship arrived at the intended star field. He couldn't wait to turn on the telescope at the rear of the ship. It's an optical detection device that converts light into images. The screen showed that he was now looking at Earth in the year 2065. But the planet's surface was still barren and there was no sign of life. Henry was deep in thought, but soon he got up and reset the course, this time setting the destination 64 light-years away to be on the safe side. Everything was ready and he started the hyperdrive again. Henry was sure that this time he would see the beautiful planet, but just as the ship was traveling at high speed, a meteorite struck the ship and the ship stalled. The power supply malfunctioned, and even his watch was damaged. Henry grabbed his flashlight and immediately activated the backup power. Luckily, the meteorite was small and did not cause any fatal damage to the ship, but the ship had lost half of its fuel. Henry was in a dilemma. If he started the FTL engines again, the remaining fuel would not be enough to return home. But he was not willing to give up because he was so close to the target star field. On second thought, Henry opened the telescope at the rear of the ship and raised it to reveal the observation room below. He even wanted to see the blue planet that had haunted him with his naked eyes. Henry rebooted the system and realized that the fuel alarm had been activated. Henry was in a dilemma whether to give up or to continue. After a moment's thought, he raised his binoculars and climbed into the observation deck to see the Earth that he had been longing to see with his naked eyes. But the result was predictable. The Earth was nowhere to be seen in the vastness of the universe. Henry looked a little disappointed. After a moment's thought, he made up his mind. In order to see the beautiful planet, even if the fuel ran out and he was permanently adrift in space, he would not hesitate. With that in mind, he started the FTL engine again, and as the ship's speed increased, the year on the screen kept jumping, and the gray Death Star slowly turned blue. Henry braked sharply. The ship stopped. The beautiful planet finally appeared in front of his eyes. The ship was 183 light-years away from the star field. What he saw was the Earth in the year 2001. At this time, the human beings on Earth looked up to the stars and hoped to realize interstellar travel soon, while the human beings 183 years later were homeless and wandering in space. Henry couldn't understand why, with such a beautiful Earth, mankind had to explore for habitable planets, and why, instead of cherishing it, they had to turn it into a dead star themselves. And now the only remaining human beings were left to wander. Now the only remaining human beings can only wander the dark universe and die slowly in loneliness. It was the Earth that made human civilization, but mankind has buried it all with its own hands.